What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I got some exciting news, exciting content coming up. We just got accepted into a really big Wi-Fi league, the BBR-D League, Wi-Fi, BBR, you might have heard of them. Your boy's in there, and we're playing, and this is going to be the draft analysis video for that league. So if you are excited for this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Without any further ado, I think we just jump right into it. Let's get on with the team. This was an exciting draft, and I can't wait to put on a performance in the Wi-Fi League. Hopefully make some impressions. Either way, we're here and we're playing for the fun of it. There's a ton of great people in this league, and it's hosted by some of the greatest people in our community as well. Make sure to follow all of them down in the description below. Without any further ado, let's get on with the first drafted mon in the BBR-D of the Also City Dragon Dancers. Now, the first mon was Raging Bolt. And it's not just any Raging Bolt. As you can see, it's our Terra Captain. Many of you may be familiar with this beast. Terra Bolt has been running rampant across many a league, really. Many a Wi-Fi league, many a non-Wi-Fi league. I just played it in the WPF. It's a huge staple of being a Terra Captain. It like benefits immensely from being a Terra Captain, just because, like, of course, as you can see on screen, the typing Electric Dragon is pretty good. It is pretty good. It only is weak to Ground, Dragon, Fairy, Ice. Now, some of those types are really common offensively, and some of them are less common, though they are all pretty strong offensive types. However, with Terra, you can change its defensive dynamic, and you can also make sure you get past some of the typings that your dual typing stab struggles with. Like, for example, just giving an example, maybe you go like Terra Ground for Iron Treads, because that's a hard one to beat, because it's immune to electric and it resists dragon, and you want a way to hit it. And then you also get the virtue of removing yourself from the ground weakness in that matchup. So just to give an example of something that hard counters it, that it can use Terra to overcome, this thing is a beast. You can choice specs it, you can assault vest it, you can calm mind it, you can life orb it, you can leftover sub it, you can do whatever you want with this thing. This thing is amazing, and you can see the 130 special attack is going to be put to work. And it also has a couple of utility moves like Roar and Taunt and T-Wave, so it can come every week and do something crazy. There's like not every week it's going to be 6-0ing the enemy team, but there could be a case for bringing it every week. And it could not, depending on some of the other mons. As you can see, this is going to be a 9 to 11 mon squad on the screen right here. Yeah, so it's also, it can also run booster energy, I'm pretty sure. So it can run like booster special attack with modest and become super offensive on the special side. And then it can also do stuff like Calm Mind, and then can, switch up its moves, remove that knockoff weakness. Or not weakness, but just remove the boosted knockoff from having an item. And you basically become a really strong threat. Now, there is some downsides to Raging Bolt. The defensive stats are not all that. It's kind of carried by its 125 HP. And the speed isn't all that either. It's kind of hard to run. You have to sacrifice a lot of power to run plus speed on it. But there's also the case for going Choice Scarf Volt Switch. So there's that as well. And you also have the signature move of Raging Bolt, Thunderclap, which is a priority Sucker Punch electric type special move, 70 base power, which could, I think it's 70 base power, which could catch some faster things off guard, and it can help mediate our low speed. That is Raging Bolt. You know him, you love him, on the squad, we're moving on. Pick number 2, we're going straight to an old school. I'm an old school player, I love me some old school powerhouses, and back in the day, Landorus was huge, man. Huge. I'm talking like Gen 7. That boy. That boy was good. Didn't he, like, a lot of leagues even banned it from using Sheer Force. And now, you know, it doesn't have all the tools that it did back then. Like, it doesn't have the Rock Polish, for example. But, you know, it's still got the nasty plot. It's still got that beautiful 101 speed to outspeed the base 100s. It's got that really strong special coverage. Like, it's, of course, it can be a physical attacker as well. You see the physical attack stat is higher, though primarily a special attacker associated with its larger move pool and the fact that a lot of its special moves are more boosted with sheer force. This thing can run physical too, man. So it's kind of like a little bit of a mixed attacker there. Not necessarily that a special wall is going to completely destroy these top two. And worst case, this can also just add a little bit of pivot with each other in terms of volt switch into U-turn and vice versa. This thing is amazing. It can set up rocks if I want to do that with this thing. It's kind of just weak to stuff that Raging Bolt takes care of, particularly water. Raging Bolt switches into water types greatly with stuff like Assault Vest or a Calm Mind Boost or, you know, whatever I want to do with that. Like I can set up Calm Minds against water types as well, is what I mean. But the main thing here is this is a really strong ground type. And I feel like a lot of good drafts need really good, strong ground types just because it's such a common offensive type. And you want to make sure you hit those targets that ground can hit for super effectively, primarily electrics, for example. Now, I took a really strong electric off the board, but electric resists electric, so this can also help remove some of the harder matchups for electric spam if I want to go like Electric Terra, Raging Bolt. So there's definitely that. I will admit the item select on this thing isn't the greatest because it's like Life Orb or Choice Scarf are like such good items for this mon. But we're gonna see if we can cook with an occasional Yachi Berry or maybe something for the matchup. We'll see what we can do with it. But this thing is a powerhouse on the special side. Really strong physical offensive direction as well, and it also got some utility in stuff in terms of doing stealth rocks, taunt, stuff like that. That's Landorus I. Really excited to use it. Used it before. I'll use it again. Huge mon. Huge mon. Huge mon. Next up, we have Rillaboom. Can I get a Rillaboom in the shot? Rillaboom. Yeah. So, no surprise. This thing sets grassy terrain. If you don't know, whoop-de-doo. It sets grassy terrain. That's what this does. And that's huge for a couple of reasons. First of all, we don't... quickly, what grassy terrain does for the people who don't know, it does a couple of different things. First of all, it heals grounded mons. So my Terra Raging Bolt, as long as I don't like Terra Flying, it's going to get passive recovery, which is huge, So Landorus does not get that. But, you know, on the other hand, it is part flying, so it's not a ground type that's weak to grass either. So it's not completely downsided. And also, if I use Landorus as more of a special attacker, relying on boost, Life Orb, Sheer Force boosted Earthquake, Earth Powers, baby, then it's not hindered by the secondary effect of Grassy Terrain, which is having the base power of Earthquake, Magnitude, and Bulldoze. It's those three specific moves. Earth Power does not care about that, so that's huge. It's huge synergy in terms of that. Also, if I want to run Gravity. If I want to run Gravity, I get passive recovery and I get more accuracy on my moves, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, but that's just, you know, that's just a little tech. That's just a little tech from your boy. Yeah, so this thing gets passive recovery. It's also another way for me to get priority. Alongside Thunderclap, we get some Grassy Glides, which works in the terrain. This thing is really good grass offense, so water types beware, which is also huge for Landorus. It's another U-turner. It's a knockoffer, which could be pretty huge because Landorus Therian gets the knockoff, but not the Incarnate, which means that I really want knockoff to remove some items. This can definitely do that. Assault Vest, Terrain Extender, Choice Band, Life Orb, Grassy Seed, Acrobatics, Sword Stance, Trailblaze, Subleech Seed, like, you name it. This is a grass type, bro. This is a grass type. And it's a really good grass type at that. Does it have a lot of weakness? Yes. As you can see, my team is triple weak to ice. Though an asterisk on the Terra, because we can change that to like Terra Water and ice types don't do shit. So, but You know, our switches to ice are not looking pretty. So we got to solve that eventually down the line. You know, it also got stuff like Boom Burst, which is kind of cool. And it relies on high horsepower, which is like, it does have EQ, but high horsepower, so it can kind of not get completely downgraded by its own terrain. So it has a lot of healing passively, and it is an offensive monster on the physical side. So this thing is going to be put to work as well. Don't you worry about that. Mon number 4, please. Ganguski. Gengar. Yes. Sad Lisa. Here we go. A also City Dragon Dancers champion. A TAO champion. Used this thing in the past. Been really phenomenal for me in the past. The speed is invaluable. Grounded poison for T-Spikes. Huge special offense. Spin blocker that can come to every game and put on the pressure. Huge, and I mean huge, supportive options. We're talking T-Wave. We're talking Will-O-Wisp. We're talking 100% accurate Toxics. We're talking Tricks. We're talking maybe like a Mean Look Perish Song kind of thing there. Destiny Bond, Haze, with that speed is going to be pretty good. Not the tankiest member, but it also doesn't have the old school Levitate, which means I can start cursing moves with my Curse Body ability, and I can also get passive recovery from grassy terrain. You're going to be hearing that a lot in this video. Yes, but it is another special sweeper, so we're kind of leaning a little bit on the special offense right now, which is fine, this can also run like Psyshock and stuff like that, so I'm not too worried about that, I do believe. Yeah, but it also gets T-Spikes itself. It can go passive with like Nightshade. This thing is huge. The typing is just goated, you know. Like both of them offer some utility that are just like really like passively huge in terms of blocking spin and absorbing T-Spikes. As you can see, I want a lot of grounded mons because of grassy terrain, and therefore it's important that I also have something for T-Spikes, because that's going to be good against my team because of it's going to be a lot of grounded mons, and I don't want to run heavy duty boots on everything. So there you go, because I want to keep up the offense. So Gengar is here, and it's going to make T-Spikes harder to play around. Also, ground type, you know, it's weak to ground, just like Raging Bolt before Terras or Terra Electrics or something of the like, which means the terrain is going to help out for those who only get EQ, or it's going to force people to run high horsepower. It's going to force those 5% misses. It's going to force that 5% less BP, which is something. It is something, for sure. For sure, brother. For sure, brother. I've used this thing defensively as well. It's not that bad. It does look horrible, I do admit, but it has some defensive value as well. That's Gengar. Let's move on to Mon number 5. Mon number 5, really proud of this pick. I got this tip from Ducky. Ducky kind of helped me a little bit here. He kind of reviewed, looked at some options, and helped me decide, because this was the point in the draft where this is a pick that's really going to define where I kind of bend the draft. This is going to be offensive, this is going to be balanced, this is going to be defensive. This pick is really defining. Another Mon that takes advantage of being grounded, and it can be T-Spiked as well, but it does get grassy terrain recovery. Another way of getting priority on top of the Thunderclap, on top of the Grassy Glide, we have the Prankster, which doesn't work against dark types, but this is a fairy type which can attack most dark types super effectively unless they have a secondary typing that resists fairy, and even then it can do just some stuff that doesn't target the opposing user, that does let Prankster still go through. So stuff like setting up screens, setting up spikes, you know the deal. And I do love spikes on this team. Spikes on this team makes this such a super offensive team, because a lot of the time these mons are not going to have the firepower to break through stuff at full HP, and I'm going to struggle to get through most teams. However, this thing can come in, T-Wave the fastness, Reflect Light Screen the strongness, and chip stuff down with the spikes. I do admit that there is a little bit of counter synergy by giving them grassy terrain, and mons that they have grounded are also going to get passive recovery. But with the tools like my grounded poison types having T-Spike and this having Prankster Spike, I still think it turns the healing in my favor. Feel free to disagree in the comment section below. I'm totally open to being wrong here as well. I've seen this thing do like specs modest, max special attack, steel beam as well. So it's not like it's completely passive. It can definitely do some stuff. If you set up on it on the physical side, it can definitely foul play you and do a crazy bunch of damage, barring you don't like quad resist or resist it with really good defensive stats. Let it stay up for too long and it's going to start calm minding, iron defensing, and stored powering you as well. That's another angle you can do. And if you come to my house, and you're trying to use my game plan against me, you come in with the spikes, I got imprisoned. I got imprisoned for that. I can set up the prankster Sunny Day for the photosynthesis Raging Bolt. There's so much goodness here for one such as myself. My greatest strength is in the team builder. I'm not the best battler. I will be the first to admit that. I'm not the best battler, and I'm not the best player, not by far. But my team building skills are where I can compete with the best, in my opinion. If you need to win a championship and you got me in the back, your chances are going up, baby. I have to advertise myself a little bit here. I have to toot my own horn a little bit here. But team building, but the whole point is my team building prowess is my strongest prowess. And give me a mon such as Klefki, and I'm going to be cooking. I like a little bit of standardized cooking, but like such a Sunny Day, for example. But this thing also gets switcheroo. So you setting up on this thing, boom, lagging tail switcheroo. You always move last. This thing got it all. This thing got so much goodness to play around with. Draining Kiss as well, which, you know, really boosted, left alone for too long, can also start to become a problem on top of the grassy terrain healing. This thing is insane. And it also has the same thing where mons that only get Earthquake, you know, you're going to basically essentially remove a ground weakness, which is huge. It's so huge. I will admit my fire resists are not the greatest if I tear away from the dragon, but there is the Terra Water angle as well, but that opens me Raging Bolt up for, you know, the grass type hits. But there's also a bunch of other great things I could do. And then again, Terra Dragon on Raging Bolt is underrated in my opinion as well, because nothing except a fairy type or a strong resist really wants to be tanking a modest Dragon Terra boosted Draco from a 137. There's no way. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this team. I'm gonna try to put on the work. That's Klefki. That's number fair. Mambo number fair. Lock Kicks. Called it Kicks. Animal Crossing reference. There you go. Tinted Lens is one of the best abilities in the game, in my opinion. That ability goes so under the radar for most people. It means you just don't have a switch into this thing sometimes. You think on paper, on matchup, you have a switch into this thing, and you straight up, you just don't. You just don't. You just don't have a switch in to this thing. Like, this thing does not have the most obvious counters that you would think. Is it weak to rocks coming in? Yes. Might want to run heavy duty boots on that a lot. As you can see, we don't really have a spinner yet. We'll get back to that proposition down the line. Or that problem, I should say. The speed is also nice here. It kind of bridges Landorus and Rillaboom very, very neatly. The 85 and the 101. Lock Kicks fits right in there. I've seen it do work in not only the BBR before, but other leagues as well. I've been really impressed by how coaches have been able to effectively make this thing an absolute powerhouse. A powerhouse, yeah. Holy. Yeah, so this thing, we got it for 10, which, you know, it isn't the cheapest, but it gave us 2 typings that we don't have, and it gave us some really nice offensive pressure that I felt like we needed. We needed a little bit more physical offense, a little bit, and what better way, isn't it, of adding Lock Kicks? We got the stab U-turn off the Tinted Lens as well. We got more priority. I think priority is some of the most broken thing. Like, is one of the most broken categories of thing in Pokemon. Being able to just go before your opponent and your opponent can't really do much about it is really strong. So we're doubling down on that. This definitely not copium after you know, winning a Wi-Fi league with Terra Extreme Speed, normal Dragonite. we just slap it on the priority at this point. We got the first impression. We got the stab, sucker punch. You know, we got stuff like feint. You know, worst comes to worst. But this has a lot of great tools that it can bring to the battle and to complement the rest of the team. Grounded, grassy terrain healing. We're moving on. Inteleon. Now, the reason I picked Inteleon is for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. First of all, I needed the typing at some point. Second of all, I needed the speed. That's the main reason we have this guy here. 110 to 120 is a perfectly safe speed gap. But there was so many mons that just didn't fit the team at this point that were going to completely ruin the structure of the team that have similar speed to Inteleon. And Inteleon, it has a couple of downsides, right? It's a special attacker in a house of special attackers. Second of all, we really want a tanky water on this composition. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, a tanky water would do me good here. And water is just one of those typings that you really want some defensive stats behind, just because it has some of the most beautiful resistance pulls in the game. So you really want that. But I'm hoping to complement it a little bit with the fact that it gets passive recovery from grassy terrain, not to mention that it gets boosted grass moves against it, but with these defensive stats it's going to pop anyway. Maybe we can salvage some situations defensively with it by relying on screens. So that's definitely an option there. We still get the water type offense. We still get the switch out with the flip turn and the U-turn. So we still have the pivoting capabilities, and it also has even more priority. Who would have freaking guessed, man? And more priority, really? Ice Shard and Aqua Jet? There's no way. He did it again. He found the angle. And it can just do some really... If you've been watching, like, Pokémon, for example, you know this thing comes with the scope lens, snipe shot, focus energy, crits through half the team. If there's one mechanic in this game that's stronger than priority, it's arguably a critical hit. So, this with Sniper as well, this thing does a lot of damage when it crits with Snipe Shot, or it just does a bajillion damage with Choice Picks as well. But there are some of the downsides. I'm not going to sit here and say this team is the greatest, this team has no faults. You're not going to get that from me. What you're going to get from me is my honest opinion about my own team. I'm satisfied with most of it, and I'm dissatisfied with some of it. And I'm letting you guys know first. And I'm also letting my opponents know. Watch this, and bring some stuff against me, man. A lot of the time, I talk about my weakness in my draft analysis, and I just see people just bring the randomest stuff against me. Watch this video. I hope you watch this video, and I hope you counter me, because that means you watch my content. That means I'm teaching you something. Hopefully, maybe you knew it from before. Even then, that shows you're a great player either way. I hope people come prepared against me, and I'm gonna do my best, because that makes the most competitive content, as both sides just do their absolute most to bring out each other's greatness in battle, in my opinion. Why should we gatekeep? I hate that stuff. We just need to make each other better, man. Just make each other better consistently. We all get there at some point. So that's my little rant there. Inteleon, Johnny! He's coming onto the squad. Not the most original nickname. Kind of stole it. Deal with it. Next mon. Cinchino. This mon is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to mention the weird thing first. So this has a little silly interaction with grassy terrain, because I can just boost the skill link bullet seed. I've obviously put Technician up there because there's this new item called a Loaded Die. No, don't know if you've heard of it. Loaded Die is in the game, which makes the hits 4 or 5 times on multi-hit. Skill link is 5 times. If I really need the 5 times for some damage calcs, then there you go. But Technician boosted 4 hits does more than the 5th hit anyway, I'm pretty sure so. You know, it only got one weakness to fighting, and I have a little bit of that weakness elsewhere. You know, Lock Kicks has it, and you see most of my mons are not defensive. So this is supposed to be I run you down before you run me down kind of a composition. Because I had the choice to go stall. I had the choice to go super bulky, super hyper defense. But I don't do that. That's not me. That's not me. I like bulky offense. The only really bulky offense mon you're gonna find here is Raging Bolt. But I kinda like the occasional hyper offense. Not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you on cam. So, you know, we got it going. This thing is here because of a very specific reason. And it's the speed is really nice to bridge 110, 120. You can choose to not bridge it. But if you choose to bridge it, it's just even nicer, ain't it? Yeah, we don't even have the normal typing. So that's another thing. We get more physical offense. We talked about needing that. Us needing that. And then we got the tidy up, which is the removal of the team. Because guess what? Tidy up is kind of has some situations where it's better than rapid spin. Rapid spin is blocked by ghost types. Tidy up is not. Tidy up is not blocked by opposing ghost types, which is kind of huge. And you're kind of setting up a Dragon Dance as well. So in some situations, you just might want to prevent hazards, and then it has that double utility where it almost just maybe makes you really strong and incredible, and you can just win the game. Maybe like a late game scenario. It has like a dual purpose. I bring it to get removal out, and then I just set up in the mid to late game, and I win games. That's what I'm talking about. It also got some really nice other tools as well. It can tickle you. I'm just kidding. Nah. No, you see the thing though. You see the thing. I'm just kidding. The thing about it is it has the seed bomb. It has the bullet seed that are boosting the aggressive terrain. It gets the healing aggressive terrain. It can have the heavy duty boots. It can run that just fine. Although we want, you know, loaded dice here and there. Choice band is also great. It has super fang for really tanky stuff. It has knockoff, which is pretty cool. It has a bunch of utility in a lot of types that you wouldn't expect, like rock blast, play rough, ice spinner, remove my own terrain. Maybe I need that sometime. I can go maybe Sash Endeavor. Maybe that's an angle. It's another U-turner. You can see the pivoting in action. In acciones. So it doesn't really have, you know, bad mon doesn't have priority. But I've been really excited to use Cinccino. Cinccino was one of the mons that got buffed the hardest, the absolute hardest, in my opinion, in Gen 9. It got so much. It got tidy up. Stops there. I'm just kidding. It got loaded die. You know, it got a bunch of different tools that it can use to really put on the offense. So this, you know, mouse hold is just Cinccino at home. You know, post it on Twitter. Soulblade said it. But, you know, that's basically where it is. Maybe I can also do some last resort shenanigans. It's a strong, physical, normal type for the points that I'm buying it for, 7. I think it's kind of accurately priced, but I also think it's a little bit of a dark horse because it could just suddenly steal away games if you don't have the right positioning. I played against this in the WPF as well, and it's just the damage output. Like, this thing just OHKOs like what? OHKOs I had powered on if it just hits everything? Like, what is that, man? Something like that? And there's also, I'm not giving away all my secrets. I have to save something. So, you know, I'm just listing the moves that come to mind that I think of, that I think are interesting when I put them on the move section here. But it also gets, you know, some different stuff that I'm not going to mention in this video. Maybe you'll get to see it in battle. I'm not going to say I will bring it. I'm not going to say I won't. You'll just have to tune in to find out. You know, you gotta have a reason to tune into the battles as well. But my God, there's a lot to go into here. Cinccino, super cool. If you get the nickname, shout out to you. Let's get on with the next Pokemon. And this one is a banger. This is probably the mon I'm most excited to talk to you about because dude, I wrote a whole thesis on this. Okay, let's go. Next mon is Medicham. Write in the comments if you made it to this part of the video. Tell me if that's female or male Medicham right now. Second of all, Medicham. Okay, Gallade is at 11. Gallade is straight up at 11 points here in this draft. And I saw Medicham at 4! 4! So let's talk about Medicham versus Gallade. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say Medicham is better. Gallade got sharpness in Gen 9. That made it a monster. They created a monster. You know, it has the Leaf Blade, sharpness boosted. Aqua Cutter, sharpness boosted. Psycho Cut, sharpness boosted. Sacred Sword, sharpness boosted. Night Slash, sharpness boosted. Gallade is crazy, okay? But what people don't realize, listen, what people don't realize about Medicham is that the close combats coming out of this thing does more damage than Sacred Sword sharpness boosted, like sharpness boosted Sacred Swords from Gallade. That's crazy, man! They have the same typing, they have the same speed, Gallade is almost 100 stat points total over Medicham. I do acknowledge that. There is a difference. But most of those points are in attack, which can't match up to Medicham. Medicham has a higher attack stat because of pure power. Second of all, a lot of those points go into Gallade's special defense. And let's be honest, if you're facing a Gallade, aren't you just going to use physical attacks to beat it down? And second of all, even if you use special attacks against Gallade, and it has that great special defense, the HP is what, 68, 67? It's horrible. It's not tanky at all. So it might tank one more hit in the Medicham, but for what I needed to do, come in and click some fighting moves, that point difference between 4 and 11 does not cover it. Does not cover it. This is a steal! This is a steal! I'm telling you. Grassy terrain boosted Trailblazers from Pure Power Medicham. You guys don't know this attack stat. It's over 400, not adamant. I'm pretty sure. Like maybe it's like high 300s. It's crazy. This thing is off the rails. Did I mention more priority? Because it does have that too. Fake outs, bullet punches, steal offense, huge. It's got good coverage. It's got the elemental punches. It's got poison jab. It's got rock slide, and it also has great stab options. I believe it does get the psycho cut as well, but it does have the Zen headbutt. It does have the close combat. If you want to break screens, it does have the brick break. It does have the drain punch for reliable recovery with the grassy terrain, and then if that's not enough, it also gets to recover. And then if that doesn't work for some reason, you can, I guess, set up screens with it. You like, you can trick something with it. This thing is, the move pool is huge, man. People don't just know about the Medicham. And if there's one thing I thought about, is that I want to use a Pokemon in this draft that makes it mine. This draft before Medicham does not make, it doesn't feel like my draft. It feels like a pretty generic good draft, I'll admit that. But I have to have that signature dark horse pick that makes it really mine, and Medicham is that. My theory is that Medicham, in terms of comparing it to Gallade, it's almost as good. It's arguably better before Gallade got sharpness, and even then sharpness is just better when it comes to the psychic move, because you know the only reason close combat is stronger on Medicham is because CC's high base power, and Sacred Sword is like 90 compared to 120. So the psychic stab is stronger on Gallade. Gallade also gets a bunch of utility. I will admit that it gets like Will-O-Wisp, knockoff. Already have 3 billion of those. Shadow Sneak priority. We have Bullet Punch. That's fine. It's just a different kind of priority. We just have to roll with the punches on that one. I'm not going to sit here and say Medicham is better, but I will be damned if people come out here and say that Medicham is worth 4 points, because it is not. This is a steal, and I will show it, and I will prove it here and now. So I'm super excited to use Medicham. And I've also been looking for an opportunity to use this outside of its Mega Form. And if there's one reason to do it, it is here. If there was a second Terra Captain here, I would make it Medicham. And I would try to cook as hard as feasibly, humanly, existentially possible. This thing is cool, man. It's just cool all the way. And it's literally me IRL. Because that's, like, I got them thighs. You don't know. You don't know. You literally don't know! Medicham! I don't want to move on, but I want to move on. That's Medicham, man. Next up, we have Colossal, aka Magnus Effect. This thing I've been drafted before. I've used it before in Wi-Fi. Can't knock the coverage. Like the move pool. The coverage is okay. The move pool, I meant the move pool. Just got the rocks, doesn't got the spin. It's a 4-pointer with a quad weakness, you know, and it can't Terra, so obviously can get exposed. But it's not like I wanted some more removal on top. I wanted some more removal on top of the tidy up. So I got the rapid spin. I wanted some more stealth rock, not making sure that Landorus is not the only one running stealth rock, where I only rely on spikes. So Colossal Softs for that. It doesn't do the worst job defensively. It actually adds a couple things to my team that are really huge that I want. It has a speed stat that's kind of nice if people kind of just try and trick room me, because I have a lot of fast threats like Inteleon, Tidy Up Cinccino, you know. Gengar, I guess, is considered decently fast. But then again, if people want to trick room me, they're kind of, I feel like they're kind of making a mistake just because I got so much priority. I'm the priority man! I'm the priority man! That's me. That's me. I've also seen, I'm not gonna, like, I want to try and give credit where credit is due. I don't know who did this, but I don't remember the name. I'm so sorry. I want to get credit where credit is due. Go check out, if you check out Nexus's, it was one of Nexus's last PPL battles this season. He played against the Colossal. The player who had the Colossal used Tar Shot. So that's a signature move that you can cook with as well. So credit where credit is due. I'm putting Tar Shot on there because of that. That's kind of cool to cook with as well. If I want to give stuff a fire weakness. Is it going to be Rapid Spin South Rock a lot? I'm not going to lie, it is. It is. But it does have the Iron Defense Body Press. It does have the Explosion. It does have the Fire offense that I'm looking for. And most importantly, did you guys remember that I talked about my team having a lot of fire weakness if I terrestrialize Raging Bolt out of the Dragon? Well, this thing has a secondary ability called Flash Fire, which makes it immune, or a third ability called Steam Engine, which makes this thing uber duper fast. It gives it +6 speed. So it kind of, if they see Colossal on the screen, maybe it derails them from clicking the fire move more often than not. And maybe it can help me in some matchups, say versus Gouging Fire, versus Cinderace, versus Blaziken, stuff like that. Maybe it can help them. Maybe it can help me guide them to clicking some other moves and giving me an advantage. Not gonna say it does, not gonna say it doesn't, but the thought of Colossal is there nonetheless. And maybe I can, with Rock and Fire being so great offensively, maybe there's a game I can steal away with Steam Engine. Who knows? I'm not gonna say. But this is also a secondary spiker if I need that. If I really need Klefki to be something else, like screen focused, switcheroo lagging tail focused, maybe stored power, choice specs. You get the whole gist of it. Also grounded, also reduces some of the quad weakness to ground, and it gets the passive recovery. We're moving on to the last pick of the draft. This Mon should not have lasted this long. And I'm essentially bringing it for, let's get on to it. I'm essentially bringing this thing, Fortress, another Also City Dragon Dancers champion, another TAO champion that I used on my roster. This thing has the fire weakness, which wants to bait them into the Flash Fire or the Steam Engine as well. Inteleon is not going to be tanking any fire moves any day of the week. None of my team members are, so we might as well try and play into that unless I want to do like Terra Water Raging Bolt, non-Terra Raging Bolt, or like Terra Fire or some stuff like that. So this thing kind of glues the part of the team together with a little defense where if Cinccino doesn't want to run Tidy Up and can't afford it because of coverage, I don't necessarily have a good matchup for Colossal. It gives me a reliable spinner that can come in, give me momentum with Volt Switch, has every kind of hazard except for Sticky Web, doesn't really mess up my team's defensive portfolio, and maybe can grab a surprise kill with counter, explosion, Iron Defense Body Press, or anything of the like. That's why this is here. Fortress, I need you to come through for me. You might come to more games than I plan you to. We'll see. I think you'll do a lot of work on the bench too. I'm not gonna lie. This thing is huge. It's a really good heavy duty boots user with sturdy, keeping sturdy intact, getting rid of stuff, forcing in ghost types. Maybe I can double the Gengar. Gengar is one of the faster ghost types in the format, seeing as stuff like Dragapult is not here. This thing is going to be fun to use, and this team is going to be a blast to use. I can't wait to use this team. So, if you're cheering for your boy Soulblaze and the Also City Dragon Dancers, if this is your first time watching my content, I appreciate you coming in and watching my draft analysis for BBR-D. Go support all of the wonderful other coaches in the BBR-D. Go support the coaches in the main season and the wonderful tournament organizers that have gone through seamless amounts of work putting this together. I know from being a tournament organizer how hard that is. So, you know, show them a little love for setting us up for success and, you know, having our back. Because they're really kind people. Yeah. So you have yourself a great day. Make sure to check out my other videos if you like my content. If you like this energy that I'm coming with, that you're going to see in the battles, and that you see in my other Wi-Fi battles. If you want me to see go in 09 again, man, getting hacked, then you're here for it. Or maybe we have a generational run. I can't wait either way. This, though, has been your boy Soulblaze, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Peace!